All right, we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to another Blinks live stream at lunchtime. Today, we're here and we're using Zoom.
All right, we're live.
And
welcome back, everybody, to another.
I'll learn how to mute myself on one of these one day. Thanks so much for hanging in. We were having a little bit of trouble getting the Zoom started, but we're all good to go. A couple of quick updates before I introduce our special guests. The quick updates are last week we launched the 2020 Summer Games. In the course of 4 days, we sold out of all 500 of those games. If you want to make sure that you don't miss out on the next games, be sure to sign up on move38.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel here down below, and sign up for the notifications. And you'll be able to make sure that you don't miss any of the new game releases. So today's really special. We've got the 2020 Summer Game Design interns joining us. And I'm going to put us into gallery view so everybody's up on screen. And so today, I guess, was it 2 weeks ago? Everybody got to say hello, introduce yourselves?
I think that's right, yeah.
And so Jacob, Nicole, Connor, and Rob are all working on a number of things for Move 38, but was it 2 weeks ago, I believe you were given the prompt to work on your thesis project for the Summer Games. And so today, I'm not going to speak so much. I'm going to let the four of you share with everybody watching and myself what you're working on, what you've put together. And before we wrap today, in the last 5 minutes, we're going to dedicate that time to revealing our very first Blinks contest winner. We had all these wonderful submissions, lots of people sharing with friends, earning you extra points to get into that raffle. And so we'll raffle that off. I was trying to think of a way to use Blinks to do the raffle. My initial thought was not a successful one because it needs to be weighted. But either way, we're gonna raffle that off at the end of the day. And I've got your Blinks core set right here. It's going to be swabbed down with alcohol after I held it up, and then we'll send it your way. So let's see. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you guys take it away.
Okay. So our game is temporarily, we have to rename it, called The King's Dilemma. It's a 1v1 competitive flicking game, inspired by being bored at a restaurant during your childhood and flicking a coin across the table with your family members to try to see who can get it to the edge. The goal is to knock off your opponent's king blink off the table or outside of the arena if you don't want to drop the blinks off the table. And what you do is you first separate, you have an even number of blinks and you separate them evenly, you divide them evenly. So you have 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 5 and 5, scales all the way up. And what you do is you single click a blink to define it as a king in your cluster, right? So let's take, for example, this middle blink. If I you're not going to see it here, unfortunately. It's like kind of hard to.
That worked pretty well for a moment.
There. So mine are kind of bugging out, but if you single click, it'll assign a king roll. And then when you double click, it'll spread those out. So the first two closest blinks become what are called knight pieces, and they have a special ability. Any subsequent blink outside of beyond that central king blink will become a different role, right? So 2 spaces out is a wizard, 3 spaces out, I believe, is a jester, 4 spaces out is an alchemist, and 5 spaces out is a queen, and so on and so on. Each of the roles have different abilities that affect gameplay. So what you do is after you assemble your cluster and assign your king, depending on how you created your cluster, you'll get a different amount of roles, right? So you can play to your style. After you do that, you double click any blink to swap between team colors. There's currently only 2 team colors right now. There's black and white. We'll work on that. And each of the blinks have a unique animation pattern so you know what role they are. The goal of the game is to knock your king's opponent outside of the arena or outside off the table. When you do that 3 times, you win the game. In addition, you can also set up your table however you like. So during the setup phase, you can put a book on there, or multiple books, or a coffee cup, whatever you want to serve as barriers so that you don't just knock things off instantaneously. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of different roles, which we can go into or not. But the core of the game is to essentially flick. You also want to be careful though, because if you knock your own blink off the table, it's removed. So with the exception of king blinks, once a blink falls outside of the arena, it's removed from the game. Last king standing essentially wins. There are some role exceptions that might be able to bring them back or whatever, but that's it. That's how you play the King's Dilemma for right now.
So how'd you get the game to this point so far? Tell me a little bit about, like the flicking mechanism. Okay, like, is that where it started? Also, these roles seem really cool with like the different types of roles. Who's creating these roles? How are you thinking about determining the roles?
So what happened was originally I came up with the idea to just make a game. How can you make a game with 6 blinks, right? And how can you make a competitive game with 6 blinks? And again, it was inspired by my childhood of playing these games with my brother. We were really, really bored in different locations. And so I thought, okay, well, if I have 3 blinks each, how can I play a game, right? So I thought of creating the initial wizard, knight, and king roles. But then when I started working with everyone else, we came up with a whole bunch of different role ideas to think about how can we make them more interesting in terms of how they communicate with one another, right? Because a lot of the base roles are, interesting kinetic things you can do with them, stacking them, flicking them, connecting them, and then doing different things with them. But we also wanted to kind of come up with what happens when they talk to one another, right? Because they're blinks, they're intelligent. So we came up with an idea of an alchemist, and the alchemist will eventually pass a bomb, like hot potato back and forth, and whatever one it lands on after connecting multiple times destroys that blink no matter what. There's a future an assassin role, right? So you can pass poison. There might be a healer role or a cleric role that heals the king. So we started coming up with these different roles. Nicole came up with a cool idea of creating walls. So blinks that actually act as wall pieces, but they have health. So if you hit them multiple times, they get destroyed. But they can't actually be flicked. They're just permanent. You just can pick them up and move them. Then we started talking about animations. Well, how can we differentiate the roles with one another? And so Nicole and Jacob did a great job of kind of coming up with these different, very unique forms of animations. We're still working on them because right now we're trying to balance the team colors versus the animations and figuring out how we can get those to work.
Nicole and Jacob, I'm curious to hear, how are you thinking about the animations?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, like the ones I did was like the Queen, King, and Jester. We all kind of came up with it during a meeting. And I think like with the Queen, we wanted it to be like shimmery almost, because like queens seem like they have like a lot of jewelry or something like that. Like kings, we wanted like the purple to be pulsing with gold, because like purple we thought of like came with royalty and all of that. And Jester, I don't think the animation is completely working right now, but what I did before was just having like all these different colors switching back and forth, because Jester seemed like very playful and colorful. So that's what our thought process for those roles were. And Jacob, you could add on to your roles.
Yeah, it was about like finding a unique like visual like pattern or behavior for each role. So the knight here, I'll turn off my light here and see. The knight right now is like in this, if you can sort of see, it's in like this marching formation where the lights are like pulsing upwards step by step, like a very regimented like soldier like marching. This is the wizard, where the top three faces are cycling between blue and white, like sort of like magic pulsing like a magic wand. And then, yeah, the alchemist has this sort of like juggling, sweeping back and forth of this, toxic bomb face to create this, like, where's it going to go? Where's it going to be passed off to? So both the color and the visual pattern of it being distinctive enough between each face, when you have a big cluster of them together, you automatically know what each piece is and what its role is, like, intuitively from its visual behavior. So,
Awesome.
fun.
And so what are, so you split up some of the roles in making this game. I mean, there's 4 of you working on one game. You're also working remotely. That is a unique challenge.
Yeah.
How's that process been, and what are some of the other aspects?
I spoke a lot, so if anyone.
Well, it's definitely a challenge. Working remotely in and of itself is tough, but I think I can speak for everyone, all the interns, when I say that we've got a really good team here, full of people who really know what they're doing, and great communicators. And so being able to, get together for meetings pretty consistently, being able to talk about, who's interested in doing what, which tasks are better suited for other individuals. That's been a huge part of it, being very open about what we plan to do and what is needed. And so, I would say that we've divided up the work pretty evenly. And, going forward, I think that we'll be able to keep working on this and make something that the community can really enjoy.
I have to tell you that Dan will ping me and he'll be like, all the interns, they're working on it right now. Like, it's they're all in a meeting together. And I was like, and there's just like awesome, cool. Like, I feel like for us, it's really fun that I feel like the 4 of you gelled so quickly. And like, I don't know, from my perspective, it's just like, cool. There's always something that like, oh, I can contribute on this side, or I can contribute on this. And it seems like the 4 of you have kind of divvied up roles or split up animations, or thinking about the balance or physicality of it. And I think it's totally worth watching our previous live stream where everybody kind of introduced themselves, a little bit of their backgrounds as well, because I just think, you each bring one of the things that we really wanted when selecting the internships that was important to us is like that we're not hiring 4 programmers. We're not. And so the fact that all 4 of you can program is a piece of it, but I think you each bring something so different to the table, which is really cool here. Let's see. So I feel like there's quite a bit of strategy here, even though it's a flicking game. So like it's a dexterity game. What are the most difficult things to think about with respect to strategy, and how are you approaching that?
Yeah, the hardest thing for me has been how do you just prevent people from just flicking a king off like first turn, right? What are some things that you can do there, right? So that's why we came with the idea of kings have multiple health, but also like the idea of barriers and walls and things that you can pile on your desk so that you can just like hide your king behind a thing. We were also thinking about you can only flick or use an ability of 1 blink once per turn, so you have to set it up multiple times. Another rule variant that we came up with was teams 2v2, but each person can only affect 1 blink on their turn, so they have to communicate with each other and like set up 1 blink and then the other person goes. And then like what I was thinking was if we have like the poison in play, the bomb in play, the cleric in play, like you have all these different things happening around the arena and you only get to choose one thing at a time. You can't just. So are you trying to defend this turn? Or are you trying to attack this turn? Are you trying to set up this turn? And kind of trying to balance it that way.
Something else.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay. Something else that was really fun that we got working. So we have all these different roles on the blinks, and you may be wondering, like, how are those roles assigned? How are they propagated? And something that I actually made, which is super fun, is the role assignment system. So basically, when you have your king piece, the role assignments are based on how far away they are from the king. So first is the knight, and then if you're 2 away from the king, you're a wizard, and then you become a jester, an alchemist, and a queen. And so this actually creates a really interesting setup phase where, let's say I give you 6 blinks and I say, okay, set up your team. You can set up your team. If you want to go straight offense, you want to go for that queen, you can do a straight line and get 1 of every single piece. But if you want to play more defensively, maybe you want to do like a turtle formation where you have 5 knights and a king all surrounding. Or maybe you're more of like an arcane kind of guy. So you want to do wizards. It's just this really fun way of creating a bunch of different variables. And so, ideally we were thinking like, you bring your blinks over to a friend's house and you're like, oh, you think you can beat my X formation? There's no way. There's no way you can beat it. And so, people might end up getting their own builds, their own role preferences, which just adds into that strategy of like, okay, how do I want to play?
Yeah, like the more you play it, the more in tune you'll be to like how to build the deck that you strategically want. So, yeah, like each different unique blinks formation creates a whole different like strategic dynamic, which is super rad.
And we're trying to make it so the further you're away from the king you are, it's like a higher tier. So it's a little bit more powerful, but you have to spend more blinks to actually get there. Right. And that will also determine your composition.
Is there a limit to the number of blinks you can use to play this game?
Not technically, no.
No.
There is not.
Right now we only have 6 roll or 5 rolls, I guess, if you don't really count the king, 'cause you can only have 1 king. But we are going to be adding more rolls. So
there's like 8 additional rolls in the design doc.
Yeah.
Additional. And a lot of another thing is like a lot of them don't have to necessarily communicate with one another. They just have to have a unique pattern. And so, but their mechanics can be all, in person. So depending on memory limits, if we can't get, communication stuff for certain blinks, that's okay because we'll have a unique role that could still be utilized kinetically.
So I think this is a really cool point. So one of the things, and I think in part of Dan's prompt on this thesis project is like, one of the neat things about focusing on a game for this extended period of time is, all right, how can we push boundaries of what a Blinks game can be? And so you're saying, okay, there could be a whole bunch of Easter egg rolls. You might need to have, 3 sets of Blinks just to be able to access certain roles, because you just can't create them unless you have enough Blinks to create those roles. And the immediate thought there I think you're talking about is Blinks are very limited in space. All of our games are all within 6 kilobytes, which is I think most everybody's profile picture on Instagram or whatever is larger than that. And so you're working with very tight constraints. One of the things that, I'm not sure if Dan worded it this way, but Josh and I typically say, don't worry about how it'll work. We'll figure that out. Like the technical aspect, it may be a pain, but we can squeeze a fair amount in. But I think what's so clever about this is you all said, well, really we just need space to animate them uniquely. We just need to turn these game pieces into uniquely identifiable objects. And then our paper rules can support lots of different styles of gameplay, even if the Blinks aren't technically behaving any differently. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's super sharp. And it's fair to assume it sounds like a number of the roles do behave. So you're going to be balancing maybe maybe some of the first 6 are a balance of paper rule and interaction, and maybe you have to get out to blink 20 and there's like a crazy interaction that lives only in blink 20.
Yeah. The nuke blink.
Yeah. Also the possibility, I mean, no promises, YouTube audience, but like possibly randomization that certain combinations of neighbors or shapes could lead to like, well, if I have 10 blinks and I go 9 blinks out, it could be the nuke, or it could be just a wizard and it's a 50-50 shot each round, or it's a 1 out of 10 chance. Like we could add an element of risk to it.
Yeah, we did talk about, I know Rob briefly mentioned like the tiers. We were kind of debating if we wanted to make the tier system like a concrete mechanic, or more of just like a guideline where the farther you get out, the higher tier you enter into. And so you don't really get to choose what piece you're going to get, but more like you get one piece from tier B or one piece from tier A. But we thought it would be a little bit more interesting for now anyway, if people could really get like the concrete idea of what their setup was going to be.
That way you know what your team comp is, and you can get a preferred deterministic assembly. Allows some like player ownership, right, of their own unique cluster in that way.
It's when you were describing it, I feel like, and you were all holding up your favorite formation. I've just assigned them as your favorite formations. That it feels kind of like deck building. It's you get to show up and I'm an X-Man, and you're like, no, I'm straight.
This is it.
This is a wizard build. It's like an Excalibur build. 3 wizards, wizard. Cluster them again. You'd have 6 wizards in this build if you did 1 and 2 down here.
I do like the X quite a bit.
I like doing the ring where you just get all knights. I like being like, fight that. You could build a tower of them.
Yeah.
Something that feels very, very protective and strong is a very clearly defensive play.
I think you'd get to build this with it, right? If I remember the rules.
No, you can't stack a knight on top. So the knight rule is when you flick a knight into another roll, what you do is you put the knight on top of them physically like this. And then what that does is actually put the underneath. So that when another blink flicks them, the knight actually gets moved, and ideally the piece on top doesn't move too much.
Could build a huge tower of knights.
Yeah.
Can you stack them infinitely in that case?
No, you can only stack them.
Not right now.
For right now, yeah. We were thinking of doing like an archer's tower or something where you just flick the top one, then flick the next one, then flick the next one. But that's still very much not like work in progress.
There's that mechanic also reminds me of Hive, which were the if you're not familiar with the game Hive, it's very chess-like. It's played with these beautiful hexagonal tiles, and the weight and size of blinks was designed after those tiles. I don't know if that was
oh, cool.
And I think in Hive there's a beetle character can essentially lock in a player underneath by sitting on top. I love that this mechanic is, it's just a totally different take, and like, uses that dimension. David Page, I'm just also seeing in the comments, said a treasure chest mentality. I think in reference to the deck building, or I guess, I don't know. I wonder if that's in reference to kind of just the roles, the fact that they dole out. I feel like, So let's see. So like everybody in the comments is just like totally psyched about this. Jonathan West says his words were stoked to try this. What stage is this in? And what do you feel like, this is something that will be popping up on the forum. People will be able to follow along. At what point of, play testing are you in this, where it's like, okay, let's get some hands from other people in the developer community. We want feedback on this.
I mean, I would say it's testable. We have to fix some visualization stuff first, but it's definitely playable. And in that regard, especially if, you know, all the roles that we're using right now aren't using communication; they're just using the paper rules. You know, it was designed from the get-go to have, you know, the wizard, the knight, and the king kind of just work that way, right? So we're down to like let people play test it as soon as possible. I want to see people, you know, I have, you know, there's only so many blinks I have here myself. So like, I really would love to see someone with like 20 blinks playing it or something, you know, and seeing what breaks so we can modify the rules and change things.
Usually the summer interns have the perk of lots of blinks being in the office. In this case, we had to send them all out. So Jamie also just mentioned she's watching during her lunch. She said, so when can we play? So it sounds like we're going to be playing this game this weekend. Yeah. I'm super excited to, you know, we're going to have you all back on as the game progresses. And for everybody watching on the live stream, definitely check it out. Follow the process here on our live streams. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we're streaming. You can expect that we're going to be doing a split of whether you're a game player or a game maker. So we'll make that nice and clear on the streams. Yeah, I think the internship wraps in, I wish it could go on forever. I believe it's in September. And so we'll be able to, everybody following along over the next 4 weeks, this game is going to be really to high polish. So awesome. 20v20, Connor.
I want to see how much chaos it can cause.
Yeah.
We've been as the Move 38 sets have been being delivered to game developers in process and future game, you know, some of the games we're working on. I think Jamie and I played with like 100 blinks out on the, and sadly we do not have 100 blinks in the house anymore. But we'll see what we can do to get a 20v20.
I want to see people play this on a crokinole table.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Perfect for it. Perfect. You get the little pegs in there, do a whole bunch of different strategies, knock them off safely into a little dip that won't break them.
I should also call out Nicole. What do you think? Nicole designed one of our game mats for the community set, which I love the artwork for. Nicole, are you thinking about artwork with respect to this game?
Yeah, that'd be really cool to think about it. I would love to brainstorm ideas.
That's one of my favorite things as a kid growing up was Tootsie Roll Pops, and the fact that the Tootsie Roll Pops had like different, like there was like an archer and a star. And I feel like at the baseball field, we made up rules of like, oh, if you got the wrapper with the star on it, that was special. And I think even like the Snack Shack would allow you to trade in that wrapper for like a free Tootsie Roll. Oh, not Tootsie Roll, Tootsie Roll Pop. But either way, it'd be sweet if there were like little Easter eggs in game mats. I wonder if we can do that. Jonathan asked which game mat you designed. Do you want to tell us, Nicole?
Yeah, it was Reactor, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was Reactor.
And so that game was designed by Aaron and Spencer at the Game Jam earlier this year, hosted by Playcrafting. It was the Global Game Jam.
It's a Global Game Jam, I think. That's
right. And Aaron and Spencer were one of the winners at the Global Game Jam. Everybody just like their game inspired by another card game. But both of them were like, we don't really have the artistic skills. Move 38, what can you come up with? And we're like, Nicole, your portfolio is awesome. Take a swing at this. We'd love to see what you make. And she came up with this beautiful potion artwork and the game mats as well. So yeah, super psyched that the art's looking so good. Let's see. Oh, we've got a YouTube. Harrison has also said the archer with the star was special. So that has permeated culture. So I think we're at like our 30-minute time, and I said the most important finish to this is we've got a lot of people who are excited to see who's going to be the winner for this Blinks Core set. And so maybe you can help me figure this out before, let's see, before we stream, I had grabbed a leaderboard, and I started, oh wait, is this working? Here we go. Ah, there's my live stream. So I grabbed like a whiteboard to show who's on the leaderboard, and you got extra entries for every time you tag a friend in the post you share. And so I figured, oh, it's cool to show a leaderboard of who's tagging friends and who's got the highest chances of winning today. And so while I haven't written them all out here, I'm just gonna read the top 6. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a random number generator. Initially, I had planned on using our widget to select our winner, but I realized since everybody has a different weighting based on how many times they've shared the post, we're gonna do it with a random number generator just from online. Seemed like the easiest way to do that. And we're going to allot, so I've got a spreadsheet where there's, I believe, 40 numbers being picked. Out of those 40 numbers, it looks like Jonas has 1 through 10, Diane and Mike are 11 through 17. And so based on your ratings in there, and then we're gonna roll it and I'll announce the winner. So let me make sure I got my spreadsheet in front.
Tell us when to start the drum roll.
Can we do like a slow clap, a slow drum build?
Yes.
Let's see.
We'll put it in post.
Yeah, we're gonna.
It's gonna start as a like rain, like a drizzle, and then we're gonna get like New York thunder by the end of this. They take long enough. Here we go. Oh, and I should note, the one important thing to note before is if you entered after midnight last night, your entries will be considered. We're going to be doing these weekly, so your entry will be considered weekly. So no worries there. As I was looking at the spreadsheet, I think, Harrison, I saw you come into the entry, and I believe you're on the entry for next week. Let's see. I got to get quicker with my spreadsheet streaming. There we go. And I had this whole time, I was just such a attentive listener to everything that was going on that I did not spend any of this time getting the random number generated.
It just builds the anticipation.
It does, and it's, yeah.
Okay. So, oh, and I love that if you just Google random number generator, it's just perfect. Blinks Weekly giveaway, here we go. Okay. It's gonna take me one more moment. All right. And I think next week's is gonna be smoother than this. I can already see operations going into effect in the shared document. Here we go. 16. Being this up. Oh my God, the suspense builds. I'm gonna let you guys create filler for 1 more minute. So feel free to pick any topic. I've got this spreadsheet almost ready.
So, how you guys doing?
Doing good, doing good. I think it's cool that we get to, I mean, this is, I think it's cool that we get to like check in and share this development step with, on the stream with this audience. And I know that I love this community and all the like how we're able to speak to the community about the cool things that, you know, the code and the things we're really proud of about how this game is set up, and like all the nitty gritty details of it, and that you guys are so responsive to it is really exciting. So thanks for tuning in and joining along in this. And yeah, there'll be more on the forums soon.
Oh, there's
How's
someone in
that for
chat. Someone in chat says name suggestions for the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it was pointed out that The King's Dilemma is a recent release.
Yeah, so we can't use that anymore. So we are gonna look for new names, come up with some fun brainstorming names. The wackier, the
Crownfall
better. What?
says
Crownfall?
chat.
Ooh, not bad.
Oh
I
yeah.
want something with flag.
Flagfall?
Flagfall. Over the ramparts.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh. Rampart Rumble.
Ooh.
Rampart Rumble. I do like alliterations. Royal Pin.
I love alliterations for game titles. I'm writing all these down.
Can they?
Royal
They're
Pin
kind of mint.
suggested.
They're kind of mint sized. You could call it battle mints.
So
Which kingdom has the freshest breath?
Ooh, you know, something that I do like even more than alliterations in
It's
titles.
puns.
Puns in titles.
It's all like Listerine themed.
I think, what do you think? The throw name suggestions in the comments on this video?
Oh yeah,
do it.
Why not? Yeah.
Right.
Jonathan said.
I kind of like.
Rampart Rumble.
I like ideas towards you know, the idea of the kind of clustering and making your own army deck thing. Something that maybe alludes to that would be kind of interesting.
Deck the halls.
Okay. I
It's
need
just
to
word association at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and alliteration and puns. If you can do all three together.
Kingdom flick game.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, there it is.
All right, you guys ready for the drum roll?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna figure out how to do this with like more visual feedback next time, because I just rolled the dice and we've got our winner. So let's go ahead and
Ooh.
here we go. Without further ado, the number rolled was 22, and the winner of our first core set giveaway is Brian Fellows. So
Yeah,
Brian,
Brian.
Woo!
we've got a core set coming your way.
Yes.
Congratulations. And looking forward to sending out that core set. You should receive it the following week. We'll reach out to you through, it looks like, Instagram. And then on Instagram, we will make sure we get your mailing address, and that'll go out this week. So,
Looks like today's Brian's the king.
Brian is the king. Congrats, Brian. To all of you that entered, thank you so much. Keep entering. We are going to continue to do this week after week. And yeah, one other thing I should note before we sign off is, as David Page mentioned, how are my sushi roll challenge skills? Not so awesome. Have you all been trying? I'm like,
What is the
awesome.
sushi roll? What is that?
Oh, come on. Wait, I can't find my roll at all, which is really bad. I'm going to find it real quick.
Is the sushi roll challenge?
So the sushi roll challenge is going up until August 8th. And if you can post a video of you doing the sushi roll challenge, which is hanging from one panel getting them all rolled up in one hand. It's we're going to have a winner for that, and the winner is going to win a set of blinks, as well as anybody who enters the sushi roll challenge will send you a special edition sushi roll case. So I see Jonas filmed his video today. Psyched to see it. I called out. I was being referee on these. I saw a submission with 2 panels starting. Make sure you start with only one. And yeah.
Oh man.
Wow, this is.
I think that's the perfect way to wrap this. Maybe everybody give a go in the sushi roll challenge.
Oh man, it's really called the pick up all the blinks off the floor challenge for me.
All right. Should we all do it at the same time?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh no, mine's already falling.
If I get it,
If I get it, yes.
then I'm time to test some 20v20 King's Dilemma.
All right. While we're all getting set up, subscribe down below, check the bell. We'll see you Tuesday and Thursday. All right, everybody, ready?
Yeah.
Technically.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
What?
I just fell.
Ta-da! They
fell.
disappeared.
All right.
Fuck me.
So much.
Whoops.
All right. All right. Thanks, everyone.